ML Sports Take brought to you by Stanley Law Offices and Welch and Company Jewelers. Bonner family, we are finally here. And yeah, if you're a Bills fan, couldn't come soon enough. St. Bonaventure basketball season tonight, the opener at the RC against Longwood. And, listen, St. Bonaventure should win this game by, 10, 15 points minimum. This game is simply about one thing for me and one thing only. Yes, I'm holding my dog down on the floor while my newborn is upstairs on the floor playing and going crazy because he goes crazy when he's on the floor. Anybody's on the floor. So, adulting, what you have to do. But Longwood, again, inferior opponent coming in. You got the home court advantage, blah, blah, blah. This is all about one thing and one thing only for me. It's just that first game, you should win. You should pound them. You're at home. The crowd will be excited, but it's just a game to kind of see how the new bike rides. You know what I mean? That's literally how this is just get everybody out on the floor, throw your starters out, mix and match players. I am trying really hard, and I know I said this last year as well, but it's kind of the same feeling, but in a different way, because I really love who the Bonnies added. And I just think the excitement is kind of, for me, it's really hard to contain right now because I do love this team. I think that Schmidt and his staff did an unbelievable job, getting all of these guys back. And the veteran-laden part of it with all of the players we know, led by Banks and Luke and Moses Flowers and Venning and company, that's one part of this whole thing, right? Then you have the world of college basketball. Once you can bring back the older guys, who's coming in from the portal, mixing and matching, what do you need? And all they did was add more length, more depth, more versatility, more scoring options from more places on the floor, which I love as well. Two guys from Central New York who I covered their high school careers. I mean, Micah Adams-Woods for a long time, as well as Charles Pride, were two of the best players to come out of Central New York high school basketball. I loved watching Charles Pride at CBA. He played for my good buddy Ryan Blackwell, who was a Syracuse star at one point as well at Liverpool. Moved on, from there, and we know about Bryant, and now coming into Bonaventure. Micah Adams-Woods, a sensational high school career as well. And so you got to love what they bring to the table. You're talking about 6'3" and 6'4" kind of guys who can swing around and handle the basketball at the one if they need to, and can play at the two and can shoot it, and maybe a little bit of small three involved in there as well. This is just a tremendous array of guys. Obviously, we have the old Jan Farrell. And has anybody decided how we're going to pronounce this? Is it Asa Esemvos? Is that how he's pronouncing this? I have no idea. I haven't even listened to this pronunciation yet. And then you have all the other guys who weren't the veterans from last year who are staying, who I think are enormous for this program. Starting with the former Jan Farrell. I think we're just going to call him that, the former Jan Farrell, and obviously Barry Evans as well. I mean, those two guys. When you look at 6'6", 6'7", 6'8"-ish. And, the 215, 220 type of body frame with the length and the ability to stretch and shoot the floor. I love it, and I think the incoming freshmen are going to just add some depth as well. Moses Flowers last year was a bench player who ended up getting into the starting rotation shortly after I did a video calling for that. And this year, Moses Flowers, after I just mentioned all of those players, he might be the most important player this year and an X factor, as both a starter at times and as a bench player at times. So this team is really ready and it's locked and loaded. I do think, though, that there's a couple of things that this program needs to do this year. One of them, it has to do with avoiding something, which has been really something that happens to Bono all the time, and it's that Western New York rivalry game that's a letdown game. Do not lose to Canisius, please. Please do not lose to Canisius in the second game of the year. The at Buffalo, at Niagara games in early December, please win those games. You know what I mean? Siena at home, please win that game. Bonaventure needs to beat teams they should beat. They're locked and loaded. they pretty much, I think, should be favored in all of these out-of-conference games, except maybe Florida Atlantic, and really Oklahoma State, I think, is a toss-up game too, because I think Bonaventure, is that good and that, imposing physically and that potentially great offensively. Defensively, we know Schmidt loves to get that side of the floor going as well. So, to me, a lot of these out-of-conference games, man, you got to clean up. You got to clean up and clean up big. You can't fall to your Western New York rivals. You can't have a loss or even two to give the committee an early look, or the computers and whoever's doing it now between the two, right? To be like, well, that one's going to cost you on February 15th. That one's going to kill you on January 20th. That one's going to hurt you on Selection Sunday. Those two are going to keep you completely out. Those two are the games now that you have to make up and win. 5 games that you shouldn't, win, but you have to win, right? Like, we can't have that, man. You can't have now you need an 8-game winning streak in the A10 because you lost an early season game to Niagara. Like, you can't have those losses this year. Like, that's it. And so I think this team's ready. I think they're primed. I think they're loaded. I think they're deep and versatile and long and balanced. I think they can score. I think they can be one of the best teams in the A10. I think the A10 probably is going to be a little bit down this year. They should win a lot of games in the A10. I mean, there's a lot of home games they should obviously win because of the RC anyway. But on the road this year, no excuses, man. You got to go into people's buildings and win. You got to start strong. You got to beat inferior non-conference teams you should beat, and certainly the rivalry games with Buffalo and Niagara. You got to win these games, man. You can't have letdown games. And I would love to see, the Oklahoma State and Florida Atlantic 2-game thing there. I'd love to see a split at the very least. But could you imagine if they won both of those games? Again, you got to keep the intensity up, and you got to keep it going for every single game, no matter if it's Canisius or Florida Atlantic, or if it's Niagara, or if it's Oklahoma State, or if it's VCU, or if it's Akron, right? Or if it's Binghamton, or it's Siena, or in conference against somebody, on alumni weekend. So I'm pumped. I'm ready. I think this team has the potential to be really, really good. I'm trying to control my excitement, so I'm just going to take a deep breath and let you watch the video now. Mike Lindsley with you here. It's an ML Sports Take brought to you by our good friends at Stumbling Monkey Brewing Company, Bowers & Company CPAs, and our terrific friends at Welch & Company Jewelers. Hey, wherever you are, shop the showcase at welchjewelers.com. Great jewelry there, and a big supporter of my platform. Go Bonas. Let's see what happens tonight. The opener, 7 o'clock, ESPN Plus at the Riley Center. Can't wait.